Morning light filtered through the glass walls of the Anderson estate, catching on polished marble and the nervous faces of staff who had learned to move quietly under Clarissa Bennett's rule. But on this particular morning, tension gathered like a storm. New maid Amara Woods, only 2 days into the job, stood near the grand staircase, her posture small yet undeniably steady. Clarissa's voice sliced through the stillness. "You think you can lie to me? Look at me when I'm speaking to you." Amara lifted her eyes, calm, unshaken, and that single gesture made the room hold its breath. Clarissa raised her hand, fast, certain no one would dare stop her. The staff flinched. But before the slap could land, a voice from the doorway shattered the script everyone knew too well. "Clarissa, what exactly are you doing?" Chase Anderson, the billionaire fiancé no one expected to return so soon, stepped into view, just in time to witness the moment that would turn his entire household upside down. And that was only the beginning. For more gripping stories, subscribe now to Canada's Heartfelt Tales. The moment Chase Anderson stepped into the room, Clarissa Bennett's raised hand froze in midair, suspended between fury and fear. The staff braced themselves, waiting for the explosion that always came after she felt embarrassed. But what happened next shifted the very air inside the mansion. Chase looked at Amara Woods first, not at her trembling fingers, but at the steady way she stood, her shoulders straight even as Clarissa's anger burned inches from her face. "Clarissa," he said quietly, "put your hand down." Clarissa's jaw tightened. "She disrespected me." "I answered your question, ma'am," Amara said, voice soft yet steady. "I told you I didn't touch your bracelet." Clarissa turned on her, eyes sharp. "You think your little innocence act works on me?" The staff exchanged glances. They had seen that look before. But for the first time someone did not back away. Amara held her ground. Clarissa scoffed and took a step closer, her tone dripping with disdain. "Girls like you always act pure until they're caught." That sentence cracked something in the room. It wasn't just an insult. It was a declaration of hierarchy, the kind Clarissa used to keep everyone beneath her heels. Amara swallowed but did not look away. "I only want to work in peace." The cook near the doorway whispered under her breath. "She shouldn't have said that." Another maid replied, "Clarissa won't let this end." And she didn't. Clarissa leaned forward. "If you want peace, you're in the wrong house." Chase inhaled slowly. "Clarissa, stop." But she didn't. Instead, she did something she had never done in front of him. He pushed Amara hard. The force sent the young maid stumbling into the corner of a glass table, and the sharp gasp from the workers echoed like a broken chord. Chase moved instantly, stepping between them. "Enough." Clarissa threw up her hands. "You're defending her." "A maid." Chase's voice lowered into something cold. "I'm defending basic decency." Clarissa let out a bitter laugh. "Decency? Chase, don't be naive. People like her." "Finish that sentence," he said. The air tightened. Clarissa hesitated, then caught herself. She chose silence instead, but the damage was already done. She had exposed the part of herself she always hid from Chase, the woman who believed cruelty was a birthright. A long, heavy pause settled between them until the head butler stepped forward, holding something small in his hand. "Sir, we found this." Clarissa's diamond bracelet. On a shelf far from where she had accused Amara. Chase's eyes flicked to Clarissa. "You blamed her without even checking." Clarissa's voice trembled. "Someone else could have moved it." "No one touched it," the butler said firmly. "We checked the cameras. You misplaced it yourself." A murmured ripple spread through the room. Clarissa's face twisted, but she refused to accept accountability. "So now you all think I'm the villain?" Chase answered softly. "They don't have to think it. They lived it." Clarissa stepped closer, lowering her voice. "Chase, don't let a servant turn you against me." But his eyes had shifted, not just in anger, but in realization. It was as if a veil had been pulled back, showing truths he had ignored for too long. He turned to Amara. "Are you hurt?" The simple kindness in his tone made her eyes sting, but she shook her head. I'm fine, sir. The staff relaxed slightly. Clarissa stiffened. Why are you asking her? She snapped. She's nothing. Amara flinched. Chase did not. She's someone who deserves respect, he said. And you don't get to decide otherwise. Clarissa opened her mouth to retort, but the sound of hurried footsteps interrupted her. The mansion doors slammed open and Gerald, Chase's longtime friend and CFO, burst inside breathless. Chase, he said, holding a stack of documents. We have a problem. And it involves her. The entire room shifted toward Gerald as he walked straight to Chase, setting the papers in his hands. Chase skimmed the first page, and stiffened. Clarissa's eyes widened. Gerald, don't. But Gerald didn't stop. These are your financial records, Chase. The ones only you, me, and your fiancée should have access to. And someone tried to transfer one of your investment accounts into a shell corporation. Chase looked up sharply. What? Gerald exhaled shakily. The authorization request came from Clarissa's email. The staff gasped. Clarissa's face drained. That's not possible. Someone hacked me. Gerald's jaw tightened. We checked the metadata. The login came from your device. Last night. Clarissa stepped backward. No, you don't understand. Chase held up a hand. Don't lie to me. Not now. The silence cracked like thunder. Chase's voice dropped. You tried to steal from me. Clarissa's anger morphed into desperation. Chase, you don't know what it's like. I grew up with nothing. I can't go back to being nobody. You weren't nobody, he said. You became nobody when you chose greed over humanity. Clarissa shook her head violently. She did this. She pointed at Amara. She's manipulating you. I know girls like her. Clarissa, Chase said sharply. The only person manipulating anyone here is you. Her lips trembled. You're choosing them over me. I'm choosing what's right. For a moment, Clarissa stood frozen. Then her expression shifted into something darker. If you walk away from me, she whispered, I will ruin you. I have recordings. Chase's face hardened. You just confessed. Gerald held out his phone. Already recorded. A shockwave ran through the mansion. Clarissa lunged toward him, but two guards stepped forward instinctively. Her voice cracked into a scream. Chase, you don't understand. I did everything for us. You did everything for yourself, he said quietly. And with that the last thread snapped. Gerald nodded to the guards. Call the authorities. Financial fraud of this scale. She'll answer for all of it. Clarissa's scream turned raw. You can't do this. Chase, please. He didn't look away. For the first time he saw her exactly as she was. When the guards took her by the arms and led her toward the door, she twisted back, voice shaking with disbelief. You're letting them arrest me. Yes, Chase said softly. Because this isn't love. And because you hurt people who couldn't defend themselves. Her final cry echoed down the hall as she disappeared from sight. A heavy silence settled. Chase turned to Amara. She tried to step back, but he stopped her gently. Thank you, he said. If you hadn't stood up today, I might still be blind. Amara lowered her gaze. I just did what was humane, sir. And that, Chase replied, is what changed everything. The staff slowly exhaled, as if the mansion itself had shed a weight it had carried too long. The light through the windows felt warmer. Softer. Honest. Amara looked around, unsure what came next, until Chase spoke again, this time for everyone. No one in this house will ever be treated like that again. Not while I live here. The workers nodded, some with tears, some with quiet pride. For the first time, the mansion felt like a place where dignity was not a luxury, but a promise. Amara stepped back, thinking the moment was over. Until Chase said one last thing. This isn't the end. Clarissa's downfall is only the beginning of what she must face. And with that, the true reckoning finally began. When the officer's car finally disappeared beyond the gates, a calmness settled over the estate, different from silence, fuller than relief. Chase remained near the doorway, hands resting at his sides, as if rediscovering the weight of his own choices. For the first time in months, he felt ownership of his life again, free from shadows he once dismissed as doubt. Amara appeared beside him quietly, her steps light but certain. He met her gaze with something new, respect shaped by everything she had endured without ever raising her voice. "You didn't just stop a moment," he said softly. "You changed a pattern." She shook her head. "No, sir. People change themselves when they finally see the truth." Her words lingered longer than the afternoon light already fading across the marble floor. They weren't about guilt or blame. They were about clarity, the kind that pushes a person to step forward instead of turning away. Chase understood then that courage wasn't always loud. Sometimes it came from someone who simply refused to let injustice stand unchallenged. As the workers resumed their tasks with renewed ease, a warm breeze drifted through the open hall, carrying the scent of rain and something brighter, possibility. And in that brief stillness, the house felt like it belonged to everyone who had survived it. If this story touched you, please like, share, and help Canada's Heartfelt Tales grow by subscribing to the channel.